And I just want to tell stories that allow us to have protagonists that are more on their heels. They're less superhero, they're less invincible, they're less trained.
We got the Reacher universe in the Variety Studio this morning. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Maria, why don't you start us off with the fishbowl question?
I shall. Go fish.
I'm scared.
Are you playing the character you auditioned for? If not, who did you originally audition for?
Oh.
Interesting.
Well, that's funny. Well, I think that would only one time, I think, in my career I've auditioned for like a different character. That was on Titans. I auditioned for Brenton Thwaites' character, which was the lead. It was like Robin. And I walked away so confident that I got the part that I bought a Tesla that day. I drove home in a Tesla, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I booked it." And then they called and they were like, "We do want you on the show, but as Hank." And I was like,
"Well, the Tesla was."
Yeah, but I got a car to pay for, so I got to say yes.
That's hilarious. I am playing the character that I auditioned for, although I originally did not book the part. So that's a fun fact. Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, it's not going your way for Neagley." And then they called me back a couple of weeks later and saying, "So it is going your way for Neagley, but we're changing it." And I guess it'll work.
I remember that. I remember chemistry reading with the people who
were,
and it was a totally different direction.
Yeah, I know.
Which is funny when you get to see how the sausage is made. Sometimes you're like,
yeah,
I felt right for the part. Why did it come to me eventually? You know, and it was just. Yeah, it's funny. Like that would have been a very, very different world.
It's interesting, and I love Santora, who's sort of like, I mean, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm just open. Like, tell me what you want to do.
Yeah.
Usually, I tell people what to do, but I'm open, and I was very appreciative of, he was so collaborative, and so I just wrote him a whole backstory. And, like, this is what I want to do, and yeah, it was lovely to have that. It works out that way sometimes.
Awesome. Let's just do one more question now.
Yeah. Long answers we have here for you.
What's taking so long? What's in the question?
I'm like, who do you go to when you're having a bad day on set, and why?
Oh.
It's like a very intense question.
I know. That's not an icebreaker.
I know. That's why I made a face.
I mean, oh God, I can't say. I can't answer this right now because for me it's been my wife of 20 years, but like we're just going through a different time.
Yeah.
So we don't do that.
Well, my fiance probably. Yep, he's the person I call.
When did you get engaged?
Forever ago. When we were
Was this the guy that used to go to New York and get cacio e pepe and pasta with?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, while we were filming season 2. But yeah. It all worked out.
So Reacher season 3, 54 million viewers globally on Prime Video in just 19 days. It was one of the streamers' most watched programs. What was it like kind of reading those numbers, and why do you think Reacher reaches so many people globally? Like, what kind of themes do you think resonate with people?
I have explored that question nonstop. So I would love to know the alchemy of the show and what works. I mean, it's a bit of lightning in a bottle. It's been that way since day one. Never could have predicted the kind of response that it had right out of the gate. Yeah. But yeah, it's insane to see the numbers continue to live at the levels that they do. But I think that there's something about Reacher that is a bit of a social experiment. He's a bit of a blank canvas, and people project onto him their own personal sort of moral beliefs and ethics, right? They see in him who they want. And so you get all demographics, young, old, women, men, both sides of the political spectrum saying that he's their champion. Which I just find fascinating.
Yeah, I think, people love a righteous avenger. People love, especially, like in the landscape of television, we love someone who's going to stand up for the little guy. And I think that is certainly what Reacher does. And so I think that it's a universal idea that speaks to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And obviously tons of momentum going into season 4, which drops just in a couple of weeks. Tease a little bit what fans can expect?
I think season 4 might be the best season we've done yet. I mean, I think we've figured out really what works about the show. We've elevated what what I felt like we could improve on. The action to me was always something that we could do better and fight really hard to do better every single season. We had more fights in the first 3 weeks of filming season 4 than all 3 seasons combined.
What?
Prior to that, like a lot of action. And it was done. I think it was done well and with purpose. But it's a really packed season, very exciting. And I think the twists and turns are so unexpected. It's kind of the antithesis to what we did season 3 in a lot of ways, which you'll have to watch it to understand why that is. But I think people are gonna love it.
And Alan, you've talked a lot about the filmmaking of season 4. I've read some of your interviews. And I know you were an executive producer for season 3. Tell me about your work behind the scenes, like not just on camera, but working to raise the show, like in every aspect.
So every year I come into the show, I ask myself and my partners on the show, the producing partners on the show, how can we elevate the show now, right? And sometimes it's something sort of physical. I can be bigger, stronger, like in better shape. But for me, season 4 was really about like how can we improve our production's best practices as far as like how we execute. One problem that we had, I think, for many years was like we don't have a one-for-one previs system, which is very hard to do, and it's what works really well in the feature film space. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's not the same amount of time to prep that kind of stuff, but I wanted to create a system that works, that sort of mirrors what we do really well in the feature space and bring a lot of that expertise and knowledge and the tools, actually different cameras that allow us to get closer to the fight and closer to the action, all that. It was like, that was my focus season 4. And we have a whole new system of policies and it shows. I think it shows. I mean, just everything was heightened, elevated, more stylish, improved as far as that goes. So I think that's where we won season 4.
Very cool. And Maria, you're getting your own spin-off series. Tell me a little bit more about how that came to be.
I think obviously based on the success of Reacher, I think there was talk that Amazon was interested in doing a spin-off at some point, and it was actually something that was brought up when I got the job originally, and I thought, well, that's quite presumptuous. We haven't even started filming yet. In Success, there was an idea that potentially there was going to be a spin-off, and I love the character of Neagley. I love her so deeply, and I think when she's on Reacher, we're just scratching the surface of who she is and what she can do, and of course there's the whole mystery behind her background and what happened to her and why she is the way that she is. And I think it's so exciting for people to finally be able to know what her deal is. And of course, that's what we're going to be exploring in the show.
Mm-hmm. And just like tonally, maybe action-wise, how is it going to differentiate itself from the Reacher series?
I like to say it's all the things that we know and love about Reacher. It's the person who stands up for the little guy. It's all the action that we love. I think where it really separates is there's a lot of emotionality to our show, and I think especially like halfway through the season, there's a particular episode that kind of like really changes the language of what the show is. And I think the writers did such an amazing job in like really just getting creative about establishing this as its own thing that can do things like that. So it's still the family, it's still within the Reacherverse, the things that we really enjoy about Reacher, but it is also creating that new idea of a language. Mm-hmm.
And now that we have 2 Reacher shows in the Reacherverse, have you guys ever talked about maybe doing like a Reacher cinematic universe, doing a movie together? Has that been in discussion?
A movie?
We've never talked about it, no.
Never talked about it. There has been talk of like Reacher features. Mm-hmm. And of course, I think if we did that, we'd have to see Neagley for sure. Mm. Yeah. Mm.
And Alan, you recently signed a first look deal with Amazon to develop like features and stuff. I'm curious, like what kind of projects are you looking forward to developing with them?
Yeah, so my deal with Amazon is with TV. So so I develop new shows for them, and there's this is the place that created Reacher. High octane action, a lot of military driven, muscular content, and The Boys. So very out there, like, risky young male audiences, that enjoy that kind of thing. And so I know that we're looking to develop that kind of thing for them too in the future.
And you guys are both always talking about kind of the action genre, especially like theatrically and in TV. Like, what do you guys want to see more out of like different action series, whether that be on TV or in film? Like, what do you think the action genre needs more of?
I would like to see, like more complexity in the protagonist. I think, when we look at action, oftentimes it can sort of get, like, we sign up for the action, obviously, but maybe it can get a little like two-dimensional. And I love complexity in the character, and that, there are, maybe they're not all superheroes in a way. And I think, that to me is definitely what's interesting to me.
I think one thing I'm trying to do is kind of to harken back to like the 90s, when you would get protagonists who, like Indiana Jones was a professor and an archaeologist. This was not a specialist, a government trained CIA operative. And it's funny because my production company has a deal split across town. So one hasn't been announced yet, but my feature deal is somewhere else. But I both understand the mandates of a lot of the studios, and we're working hand in hand with a lot of them to develop the future, future action space. But in having deals and sort of tentacles in several studios, we also have access to like everything that's being made or coming in, or IP that's books, manuscripts, shorts, that kind of thing. And kind of weirdly across the board. There's something in the zeitgeist where everybody is like former military or military, right? And I just want to tell stories that allow us to have protagonists that are more on their heels. They're less superhero, they're less invincible, they're less trained. Yeah. I think that'll create a whole new sea of content where the audiences will be able to see a little more of themselves on screen. So I've been asking the town to help us create and find and develop things where protagonists are like, like plumbers and
totally agree.
Electricians, and guys who are caught up in extraordinary situations and circumstances, but not necessarily prepared for it.
Excellent. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining the Variety Studio.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you guys.